At Sierra, discover top workout gear at incredible prices, which might lead to another discovery. Your headphones haven't been connected this whole time. Awkward. Discover top brands at unexpectedly low prices. Sierra, let's get moving.
This episode is brought to you by State Farm. Listening to this podcast? Smart move. Being financially savvy? Smart move. Another smart move? Having State Farm help you create a competitive price when you choose to bundle home and auto. Bundling, just another way to save with the personal price plan. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. Prices are based on rating plans that vary by state. Coverage options are selected by the customer. Availability, amount of discounts and savings, and eligibility vary by state.
Exploring both interstellar and interpersonal space-time continuums. The Last Show with David Cooper.
It is time for technology time. Let me ask you a question, listener. If a DUI was occurring in front of you and the cops pulled over the vehicle, you'd expect there to be an arrest. But what happens when the driver is no driver at all? Well, that hilarious thing just played out in San Francisco, or the Bay Area, where Waymo, the robo-taxi company, was pulled over by the cops to shrugs. We are here with Carmi Levy, a technology expert, to pick this one apart. It's such a ridiculous story. And having lived in San Francisco, Carmi, it is so San Francisco. There's so many driverless cars and the residents hate them and they like troll them and block them in. And there's just all this tension. They vandalize them.
Yeah, well, now they have another reason to hate them. So there's a DUI enforcement operation, where they sort of set up a checkpoint and you're basically locked into it. Well, while the vehicle is waiting in that lineup, it pulls an illegal U-turn right in front of the cops, right at the light. And so, of course, the cops pull them over.
It was basically trying to get out of the DUI check.
It was trying to get out of the DUI because, for whatever reason, its algorithm thought that was not a good thing.
I once did that as a kid. I was driving in Toronto, and it was just that I had to make a right turn to get to where I was going, where there was a checkpoint lineup. So just before the lineup, I made my right turn to go home, and immediately the cops chased me. Fortunately, I wasn't drunk. I showed them my address on my driver's license. I pleaded my case, and they let me go. But if you're in a DUI checkpoint lineup, maybe don't U-turn out of there illegally.
Yeah, maybe not. So, as humans, we generally know that, but I'm guessing the software did not, or maybe the software didn't recognize that it was a DUI checkpoint. So it does a U-turn, gets pulled over immediately. The cops, of course, get to the vehicle, and good for them. This is the San Bruno Police Department. They actually got photos and footage showing, the cop standing next to the car, looking forlornly into the driver's side, realizing that there's nobody there, and then they posted on social media, "That's right, no driver, no hands, no clue." And they said they wanted to issue a ticket, but they couldn't because their citation books don't have a box for robot. And so the law literally didn't allow them to do anything. So they reached out to Waymo and just said, "Hey, this is the thing." But it was more of an FYI than anything else because there was nothing that they could stick in the law. And of course, Waymo issued its own statement that they're designed to respect the rules of the road, and they're looking into the situation. They're committed to improving road safety, blah, blah, blah. But, the technology clearly tried to get out of a ticket, and the law enforcement clearly had no option but to let the vehicle go. So, it shows, and this is good stuff. This is why you test vehicles on the road, because it identifies gaps. It identifies where perhaps the engineering needs to be expanded. This is a particular use case, particular situation that the developers clearly did not anticipate, and this is what happened. Kind of amusing, but at the same time, if you live in that neighborhood, it's disconcerting and frankly maddening. You have vehicles that are breaking the law, and they're programmed to break the law, and that ultimately should be addressed.
This is a fun one. The San Bruno Police Department, that's the city just south of South San Francisco. I think they're poking fun. Maybe they're annoyed by these cars because there's nothing they can do. But you turning out of a DUI, albeit illegal, it was done safely. So it doesn't really open all these moral and ethical questions. But what happens when somebody gets hurt? And the faulty programming because the car made a mistake or did something illegal and hurt someone, who's to blame? And can this company just shrug and say, "Oh, we respect all the laws," when some family's lost a loved one or some loved one has broken all their bones? These are the big moral and ethical questions that there aren't good answers to. Even if these things are safer than regular cars with people behind them, there's no way they're 100% safe.
They aren't.
And these are the questions we're going to be grappling with as we get autonomous driving.
And we need to. And I mean, I think this is, obviously they're making light of it. Someone thought it was funny enough to post on social media in this way, but frankly, we got lucky. We dodged a bullet. It could have made a U-turn. It could have hit somebody. And so, and then of course, what about all the other scenarios that haven't made the news, that haven't sort of resulted in an incident like this, but could have? So where are all the other gaps? What are all the other shortcomings in programming, in the algorithm of an autonomous vehicle that we have not yet kind of tested in a public situation that we still don't know? So yeah, I mean, these companies owe it to us to make sure that the things they put on the road are as safe as possible. And yes, we're seeing some early research that suggests they're safer than human drivers, but that's no consolation to a family whose loved one is perhaps injured or killed by technology that was not as perfect as it could have been. And I think this particular incident thankfully had a lucky ending, but it gives us an opportunity to talk about it and gives the industry maybe an opportunity to look in the mirror and go, we can do better.
All right, here's our next story. Dude, you're getting Adele on Fox News with an Oracle database if you're a TikTok user. That made absolutely no sense, but I promise you it's about to make sense. This has been a story we've been talking about literally for years, Carmi.
Yeah.
To the point where you and I are so bored of it. Is this the final resolution of the TikTok being forced into U.S. ownership, at least the U.S. part of their operations? Saga, or is there just more drama? It looks like this deal's going to go through.
It looks like it. Donald Trump wants us to believe. He announces it. He tells his press secretary to announce it. He tells everyone on his team to announce it. Everyone sort of shares little dribs and drabs of information about this so-called deal. And this has been playing out for the last couple of weeks. And last week, he issued an executive order authorizing a deal to be finalized. I'm not quite sure what that means. I'm not quite sure why it necessitated an executive order.
Yeah.
But, Donald Trump sure loves sitting at that tiny little desk and, scrawling his little 4-year-old signature on it. So, the bottom line here is it looks like a deal is moving toward the finish line. It looks like the American group that will own about 80% of the company will include Larry Ellison of Oracle. It'll include Rupert Murdoch as well as his son Lachlan Murdoch of, famous Fox News. It will include Michael Dell, of course, who founded Dell Computer. It will also...
Dude, you're getting Adele!
You are preloaded with the TikTok app. Good for you. It'll also include Silver Lake, which is a private equity firm, as well as, and this is interesting, MGX. They're a venture capital firm based in Abu Dhabi. So much for the let's bring it all home to America, but then let's sell a piece of it to Abu Dhabi. And of course, China, ByteDance, and as well as the Chinese government will still own just under 20% to align with this law. So, and the algorithm will be provided to this new ownership group under license, and then it will be upgraded and it will be under exclusive American control with no involvement by the Chinese, whatever that means. This again, what I find interesting is a week since this executive order was released, we haven't heard boo from China. Literally radio silence.
Yeah, the Chinese government has not made any announcement on it, which is kind of bizarre.
Yeah, because you kind of need both sides to have a deal. At least that's how I understand how deals happen. At least, maybe I'm wrong, but, two sides have to agree.
There's an art of the deal joke right here, but it's just too low-hanging fruit. I'm not going to make it.
That's right. There's not a whole lot of art here, and the fact that we're not hearing anything from China is concerning. We know that China opposed the deal all along, and that they were kind of grudgingly pulled to the negotiation table in the context of the trade negotiations. And so, again, the longer the silence goes on, the more it feels like this is just another P.T. Barnum-esque moment in Donald Trump's universe, that he's trying to convince us that there is a deal when there is really none. So I'm not holding my breath anymore because, in all honesty, right now there are just more questions than answers, and it's kind of hard to tell where this is going to end up. I was hoping it would be over. It is clearly not.
All right, we'll either be talking about it next week when the deal falls through, or we'll say this is the final chapter in it, and it won't be. There'll be other announcements. They'll change the algorithm. There might be some issue with the handover between the Chinese version of the algorithm to upgrading it to a US version. I'm sure this saga will continue ad nauseum, but it is interesting given it's like the hottest app amongst young people. When we come back from the break with Carmi Levy, technology expert extraordinaire, we are going to discuss an amazing new actress who is an up-and-coming one who is just potentially going to be signed by an agency. Except this actress, Tilly, her name, is no ordinary actress. She's a robot. My goodness. Where are we in the world right now, Carmi?
I wish I knew. I just did pinch myself just to make sure that I'm not a robot, so I am human.
All right. The AI actress signed to an agency. Up next with Carmi Levy. It is time for Technology Time. Continues in a moment.
Want to be part of the last show with David Cooper? Call us and join the conversation. 1-888-505-6644.
Finally in your wellness era? Then you know gut health is gut wealth. And with 20 years of science behind it, Activia can help keep those good gut vibes going. Deliciously smooth and creamy, Activia probiotic yogurts and dailies have billions of live and active probiotics and help support gut health while you go about your day. Your gut is where it all begins, so start with Activia. Enjoying Activia twice a day for 2 weeks as part of a balanced diet and healthy lifestyle can help reduce the frequency of minor digestive discomfort.
The last show with David Cooper. Procrastinate your life away with us.
Who's your favorite actress? Is it a woman named Tilly Norwood? She was recently signed by an agency, and why you haven't heard of this actress, there's a good reason for it, and why you're about to hear about it, there's another good reason for that. It is time for Technology Time, and Tilly is an AI actress. Carmi, welcome back.
Good to be back. Human Carmi, just to reaffirm.
Yeah. Carmi Levy. I don't think I said your full name. I feel like that's a good host I am. That's why I'm the best in the biz. Don't introduce your guest.
There aren't a lot of Carmis in the world anyway. We're good.
Why are we talking about an AI actress? Why is she being signed by an agency? And why is she making more money than us? These are all questions that maybe don't have answers.
Yeah, it's when you see the headline, AI actress about to be signed by an agency anytime soon, it kind of gets your antenna up, right? Because, oh my God, what's happening? Is this the second coming? Is Hal becoming real? But not all is as it seems here. This isn't a major agency. This is a tiny little Dutch agency created by a Dutch actress who, has a couple of small IMDb entries, but nobody would otherwise know her. Her name is Eline van der Velden. It's based on comments that she made at a kind of a side event at the Zurich Film Festival. She's released a 2-minute short, AI generated short called Shikoya, and she calls her agency an AI talent studio. And so it feels less like legitimate actress being signed to a legitimate agency than almost like a publicity stunt launched by basically a has-been actress, has-been producer and director who just wants to get everyone's attention, and based on the fact that everybody's talking about it, clearly seems to have succeeded.
Well, I mean, it is cool. I think at first AI generated big box film, TV shows, they're going to suck. But I am really looking forward to the next 20 years where they're trained so well that you can just like generate, your favorite sitcom, your favorite drama level of content, and boom, you load it up on Netflix or whatever platform's offering this, and it's amazing television on demand, all fresh, all new. It's going to be like a drug. It's going to be like heroin, like the best possible entertainment always generated at your fingertips. I'm kind of looking forward to that. I hope it happens when I'm at an age where getting out of bed is optional.
Like in Wall-E on the big interplanetary ship. Yeah,
exactly. But at the same time, this is kind of cringy. I feel like it's any actor would read this and feel like worried. It's going to be turbulent in terms of like AI movies, what's good quality, how writers, actors, and VFX people are treated. It's going to be a weird time, and I feel like that's why this announcement is kind of making people uneasy, although it seems to be a publicity stunt.
It does, and I think, and I agree. And what sort of frightens me is that we're already seeing early stages of this sort of AI content explosion. I mean, look no further than your social media feeds, whether it's Facebook, whether it's LinkedIn, whether it's TikTok. A growing percentage of the content that we're seeing in our feeds is AI generated, and a lot of it is garbage. A lot of it is terrible. We call it. There's a term for it. It's called AI slop, and most of it you can tell when it's AI, even if the video is incredibly high quality. The storytelling is terrible. And so it's obvious that it's machine generated. It's obvious that these aren't experienced producers and directors and writers and actors who are lovingly creating, crafting content. These are, individuals who are playing with tools and just, throwing whatever comes out the other end online and hoping to find an audience. And so I'm hoping that the quality bar is a little bit higher over time. I'm hoping that, proper narrative, proper storytelling, adherence to the craft, love of the craft are still a thing once AI becomes an important part of people's toolkit. But based on what I'm seeing in my feeds now and just on the general internet, most of it is slop and most people don't care. And so I think we're still at that point where AI equals lousy content. And a lot of the reaction that we're seeing to this Tilly Norwood chapter is, this is so gross, read the room. And so I'm hopeful, but I'm also not expecting much because we've already seen a lot of lousy stuff being put out there.
Well, this is on the lousy end of AI. Let's go towards the quality end, because OpenAI, the company behind ChatGPT, is announcing a new product called ChatGPT Pulse. I guess my first question, which isn't related to this product, is do you start the morning with any kind of like news feed thing? I subscribe to a certain media outlet that rhymes with Shmoo Bork Rhymes. They have like a morning email where they're like, hey, here's what you got to know. And it's just kind of headlines. It just gives me a map of what I want to be looking at and, stuff that I'm curious about for this show, stuff that I'm curious about as a human being in the world, aware of global politics. It's like a morning brief,
Yeah.
And that's exactly what ChatGPT is talking about doing. But instead of just being a general morning brief for a readership, it'll be customized for you.
Yeah, and one of the reasons why we sign up for newsletters and daily summaries and then we don't bother reading them is because they're not relevant to us over time. We kind of lose that engagement, lose that connection. Whereas if it's AI generated and it's based on your engagement with ChatGPT, so all the conversations you have with ChatGPT, the interactions, how you use the app, how you use the platform, it's watching, it's collecting that data, and then it's using it to create a personalized feed for you in the morning. And then it adapts that over time. And I think that's, that's one of those use cases of AI that I think is worth considering. Because again, it ensures that over time it is relevant. It remembers what you spoke about yesterday. It looks at kind of all the things that you're doing both inside the app and beyond. And then it makes sure that everything that it feeds up in the morning is something that you would want to consume to start your day. And so I think that's, if you put the blinkers on or the blinders on, it's one of those cases where, oh yeah, why didn't I think of that before? This makes sense. At the same time, the concern is it's collecting a heck of a lot of data, both within the app as well as from all of the other apps and services that you're using on your devices. And so it does come with a bit of a privacy cost, and you have to be comfortable with that, because if we thought that TikTok or Meta's apps were huge collectors of data, well, you ain't seen nothing yet until you've used ChatGPT. So that's going to be sucking a lot more information about you. And do you trust OpenAI to do right by you once it knows that much about you? So very convenient, but also opens up an opportunity for a privacy conversation.
I actually don't trust it. I would not allow it to authorization to read my whole computer and my web browser history and everything to tell me what I might like for the day. It does seem like a cool product, but for now, traditional newsletters, morning briefs that I get from media outlets or Substacks or whatever, those would be what I would use. Just personally, I'm not a big fan of like letting apps crawl my whole computer to try to figure out what I like. Makes me a little uneasy.
Yeah, and unfortunately, I think that's where the industry is going. I think as chatbots like ChatGPT become more mainstream tools, like in many cases, many of us are using ChatGPT more frequently. We're spending more time with it over the course of a day than we do with Google. So it's become a utility, kind of a critical tool for us. I think as that moves forward, we're going to see more services like this released by AI companies so that they kind of lock us in, create that addiction to ChatGPT, similar to what Google did 25 years ago, and keep us locked in for a generation. And that's how they become the giants that they are. OpenAI could potentially be the next Google. It is now worth more than SpaceX, the most valuable privately held company on planet Earth, and they're planning on going public. So, they're doing all the things that they need to do to kind of make sure that dominance continues to grow over the next few years, and personalized services like this are clearly part of that strategy.
And Microsoft invested heavily in OpenAI. So that money is like going in, not all of it, but some of it's going into Microsoft's pockets. So yeah, it's interesting to watch. Microsoft Bing didn't work out, but this project is definitely working out.
Well, if you can't develop it yourself, you just partner up and dump a bunch of money into a company that can. And that's clearly been Microsoft's strategy. And it seems to be working out well for them.
Or we can all just Bing it. Just Bing it, Carmi. All right. Well, Carmi Levy, a technology expert, joins us every week on It's Time for Technology Time. Carmi, I appreciate you talking to me. I appreciate you going over these stories, and have a nice weekend.
Thanks so much, David. Great being here with you.